Well, hello. It is what is this? Shorty Sneaker Conversations, episode 9. I think it's episode 9. Welcome everybody. Let me invite our guest, Mr. So we're waiting for our guest. Hang on, we're telling more followers to join. So yeah. I'm really not sure to say. Usually somebody will have joined by now. Well, hello. Welcome. Okay, our guest is here, Mr. Ice Cream Man, the legend, Mike Simpson. Just sent you a request to join the video, so I can send another one if I need to. Okay, hello everybody, C Peeps 85. What's up, DJ Monte Carlo? Got me looking all
Did it work?
there. What's up?
What's up?
Not much, man. It's good to see you. Good to talk to you today. What's going on, sir?
Man, it feels so zoomed in on my head. I look so huge.
Hey, it's all good. Is this your first time going live?
Yeah, yeah. All I ever do is go for a hike and take a picture of my sneakers and then post it, and that's pretty much my whole Instagram vibe.
Hey, it looks good. I like how you do the three, pictures like that. I might have to steal that.
Oh, well, thanks for saying that. I actually consider getting rid of it a couple of times because, like, sometimes I don't feel like going and taking pictures, or like it's raining or something, and then I just kind of go back and find other pictures, but that I took before that I didn't feel like posting before, and then I might run out, So I was considering just doing one, but I don't know. I like doing the three pictures.
Yeah, I appreciate looking at it every day. I don't always see three pictures, but I usually see one, and I'm like, well, check out the other. So,
Yeah, I usually try to take at least three, but when I go and take pictures, I take like 50, I take like a ton and then look and decide which ones I'm going to post or which ones kind of look good together. Sometimes they're not the three pictures that I post aren't the best pictures that I think that I took that time. They're just the ones that don't look as similar. You know what I mean? So like the ones that like today I posted the black cement threes and it's like kind of from the back, and then I'll post one where it's kind of from the side and then one that's kind of from the front. So it's not just like the same picture, but there are pictures that I think are better pictures than that. But I just want them to kind of be in that order. I don't think anybody cares about good pictures anyway. I don't think that's really like that's not really a thing. At least not according to my engagement. It's not a thing.
yeah, I got you.
It seems like the most important pictures to people on Instagram are like a pile of shoes. Like that's always like I just can't. I just couldn't picture myself just like laying sneakers on the ground and taking a picture. Like I want to take like a picture. But maybe that's not exciting to people.
No, again, some of your backgrounds, you kind of have me really rethink because I'm guilty of it. I've tried to switch it up and take full body shots and not just take the side of the shoe, but
Yeah.
up when it's the side of the shoe. So
It's not easy, and especially if you don't like, especially if I was on your level. I mean, I'm like, you have more shoes in the background of your picture right now than I have in my entire collection. So you gotta, I mean, you just put a different one on every day and take a picture. I think that's awesome. But for me, like I always said I never run out of places, but I don't want to like keep repeating the same places. So I start to run out of places that I want to go or feel like going to. I'm pretty lucky because most of the, I don't know if you know this or not, but most of the pictures that I take that are like by the ocean and stuff, it's just on my street.
Mm,
Like I just drive down the street. When my street kind of goes down, it goes west towards the ocean, and then like I just start driving west, and it turns into a redwood forest, and then there's like a shipwreck. I usually sit down and eat a sandwich next to the shipwreck, and then it dead ends at like a lighthouse that's on like a cliff. Shit down there, seals. It's pretty cool.
mm, okay. Okay. I lost you there. I heard you say it was down by the seals, but I lost
Oh yeah, yeah. I was just talking about driving to the ocean. Nothing super important.
you. Okay. Well, I'm proud to say I've known you since the early 2000s when, I started working at our former employer. I don't know if I want to say the name on here, but
Hey, I don't think anybody's listening, right? FBI guy that's assigned to me. You know, I worked at the Record Exchange my whole life. I think everybody that knows me knows that.
yeah, I'm happy to say I worked there for 6 years, but yeah, you were definitely a legend. And I do want to tell you that I borrowed a lot of things I seen you do. We didn't get to work together a lot, but I
Yeah.
borrowed a lot of what you did in my retail management career after record.
Like what? Is this one? This is what people always say was the move that they always wanted to be able to do.
Well,
Where I just stone face people and just stare at you.
I've used that. I've had to use
Yeah,
that to
I'm
really,
good at that.
and you were able to say how you felt to people in a way where it didn't. You let them know, but it didn't like offend them. Like you,
Yeah, that worked there. It doesn't really work anymore. It's
uh,
funny because like what I do now is so vastly different. It's my whole life is so different, like I live such a peaceful and quiet life, like married life. My wife we've been together for 10 years, and it feels like, a lifetime that we've known each other, but she doesn't know that me. So when like I say Record Exchange stuff, or like, oh, it was one time when I got held up, at gunpoint, and I took the gun from the guy and chased him with it. Like she can't wrap her mind around that.
oh,
Like she's picturing me in like a cardigan on the couch. Like it was a different life for sure.
man, I mean, I've been seeing you around since the '90s. You've always had sneakers, always
Yeah.
had. Like I remember this one random time, and it was either '01 or '02 before I started working at Maple. Um, my dad and I used to come in every Friday, and you were working at Van Aken because we lived right down the street from there. You had the sixes, and they were just so crispy, and they had already been out for like a few years. And I'm like, man, sixes so
Yeah.
yellow. He got
I
special
sold
language.
those to you, didn't I?
You sold me the white and red 15s.
No, I didn't sell you my sixes. What did I do with those then?
I'm not sure. Only reason why is because I think the sixes were a 13, and
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
15.
Well, I sold them to somebody. It's
Yeah,
funny
because
because like I have always had sneakers, but it kind of went in waves back then. Like I would wear like after that I would wear like a lot of Pumas and stuff. Like I really liked a lot of like European runner Pumas. I had like a bunch that were designed by like a guy named Yasuhiro Misaka, I think. And they were like Pumas, and they were real wild before I started wearing Jordans again. A lot of the time it would dictate like who I was, or it would be dictated by who I was around. I think that like my girlfriend at the time didn't like those Jordans, and that's why I sold them.
yeah, I
And
think
that was you introduced me to the idea. I didn't even think about people buying and selling them. Like I didn't. That didn't seem like a commodity until then you told me, and I was like, oh shit! Like this is another thing that can be bought and sold.
yeah, yeah. Oh man, yeah. It's been a long time since those days, but I always wanted to tell you that. Certain things I saw you do that I have borrowed, and being stone faced and just really keeping it about business. So
Yeah.
nothing personal. This is business. This offers.
Well, my job now, most of the time, I train new employees. Like I'm heavily involved in like the onboarding process. at my job. Well, not during COVID. I just kind of sit here all day and answer people's questions on the internet because we don't hire anybody. But my job is to teach people to be really nice, like no matter what, be really nice. And like we have, like, I don't want to give away proprietary secrets, but we have like steps of things to say to people that psychologically they work on people. And one of them is they say, I teach people to do something called acknowledge, align, and assure. And like if somebody comes in and they're upset about something, then you acknowledge that they're upset. Like, you're right. Like, I would be upset if that happened to me too. And you can align with them by saying, one time, you know, that happened to me and I was probably more mad than you are right now. But you know, I'm here to help you. You're my top priority. Like, I'm assure you that, you know, I'm going to find the right way to help you. And just thinking about, like, you know, I used to train people at the record exchange, like prison rules. Like, if you don't raise up on somebody in front of everybody, like once a week, like you get eaten alive. Like, if I didn't yell at somebody every so often, I would just choose somebody and be like, fuck you, and like flip out on somebody for no reason in front of everybody, just to make sure that they knew that I'll snap on you.
You had to set the
It's,
tone.
right. Yeah. You don't know me. I'll go crazy. Especially for a little skinny, long hair white guy, you know, like I had to, you know, do what I had to do to kind of make sure that my presence was felt wherever I was in that store.
Yeah, yeah. Like I remember when you came out to Maple. I remember you were like, look, this is how it's gonna be. And again, just telling me what it was, because I was a new manager at the time. I'd only held keys one other time, and it really helped.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I'm glad that I could help you. You know, that's my goal in life, is to help people. I just want to make things easier for everybody. I want to see everybody do well, everybody eat. So I'm glad that I could do something, especially something that you remember all this time later. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you're definitely one of the people I learned from the most during my time at Record Exchange. So
When you
yeah,
stopped working at the record exchange, did you feel like, I guess you had other like retail experience? Because, you know, I worked there like my whole life. Like, I lived in a car and like next to a dumpster before I worked there. Like, I didn't have any other work experience. Like, I started working at the record exchange when I was 17 and then stopped when I was like 32. So when I went to go get other jobs, I was like, dude, I was in charge of all this stuff. Like, well, I would open new stores, close new stores, and charge of hundreds of people at a time. And they're like, dude, at what? Like, at a record store?
yeah,
And when I got my job that I have now, they were so not interested in my resume until I was like, oh, you know what else I do is once a week, I help a friend of mine receive shipments at GameStop. And I just worked there once a week, and then every other week I made enough money to buy a video game. You know, GameStop will pay you on a card. Remember that?
yeah.
Um, and then I
Tom,
would just be like, Resident Evil 5, I would just swipe it, you know, and then I'd get a new game every other week. And they were like, oh, you can open boxes? And they hired me to open boxes. And I'm like, but like, I was a mentor to young people for my whole, I have former employees. One's a mayor, one's a neurosurgeon. I know one of my former employees is the producer of a show on MTV. And they're like, oh, but you can open boxes? Shit, you're hired. But you didn't run into any kind of things like that, though, because you had a bunch of different retail jobs afterwards, right?
yeah. I mean, right after CD Game Exchange or Record Exchange was GameStop, where it was like a more grown up corporate version of the same job anyway.
Yeah.
And then
And you would get the same answers from customers. For what? For all of them?
yeah,
No, hell no.
but it worked though.
Yeah.
Oh man, but it was easier there because people used to feel like, we would look at, we would chart. Remember, we would chart everything and put risks on it. And at GameStop, it was just like, look, this is what the computer's offering. Sorry,
Yeah. I mean, that was like my goal when I was making offers. I'd be like, the store can offer you this. It's not me. I don't give a shit what you get. You know,
Yeah,
people would argue. I'd be like, look, you could get $100. You could get $1. You could get hit by a bus on the way in here. My life will be the same. I don't give a shit what you get. Like, it's not coming out of my pocket.
yeah.
I mean,
I used to have to tell people all the time. I mean, this isn't personal, man. We got 15 copies of 300 on DVD. What you want me to do?
yeah, right. Everybody trades in Madden '01 for Madden '02, okay? But
Everybody.
I would get people because people would be like, they'd be like, look, I just want to get, Madden 98, and I want to trade in, you know, Secret of Mana and Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy 3 brand new in the box. And I'm like,
Oh,
even trade? And they'd be like, really? Okay. And then a year later, I'm selling those for $300 a piece, and they're getting $1 for the game they got. So,
well,
I mean, I knew what I was doing.
yeah, let me tell you about this one thing before we get into the sneakers. I remember this one dude. This was near the end for me. This was like '07 or '08. It was near the end. This dude came in. He had all this out of print shit, all this old No Limit, old Rap a Lot, old
Ooh,
just old shit. Top Authority, all that shit we used to
yes.
$30 and $40. Um, and I was into the trade. I was really gonna look through each CD, and the dude was like, "Man, how long is this gonna take?" And I'm like, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes. I don't know. And he was like, "Man, look, just give me $1 for each CD, and we'll call it even." He had like 100 CDs, so I'm like, "Yeah,
Okay.
all right." You know,
Yep.
and like 5 of those CDs paid for the whole fucking thing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It just
And like we had a bunch of like rules and stuff, but if you just wrote like, on that sheet, because we didn't have a fucking computer that organized that shit. We just write it on a piece of paper. If you just wrote, I paid a guy $50 for a stack of CDs, that was good enough.
yeah, yeah,
So my goal was always to stay organized, but like, it just was, you had more freedom, back then because there were no records. I mean, we put money in a wood box, for Christ's sake. Like,
yeah. It was crazy. Then wait for Sable to come pick it up. And,
but I think about it, like basically exactly what you're saying. It really applies to what's happening right now in the sneaker community because you would get that Top Authority CD and it was out of print. You would get Uncle Sam's Curse and it was out of print. And at first I'd be like, I'm going to make it the same price as if it was new. And people would still buy it. And then one day I made Uncle Sam's Curse like $50 and it sold like in 10 minutes. Somebody bought it. And I was like, oh shit, like I can really put some premium prices on some of this stuff.
yeah,
So it kind of reminds me of, people's big complaint right now is resale. Everybody complains about resale. It's similar, but it's different. People are putting premium prices on everything and buying everything and making it impossible for anybody to buy anything. But the buy and mark shit up and buy something and mark it up and resell it, I mean, that's as old as time.
yeah. We've been doing that. I mean, I remember I used to even do it with when I had full control. When I was like truly fully in control, I used to even do it with new CDs where you get Mary J. Blige. What's the 411? It's got the little Super Saver, little blue and red sticker.
Hmm.
It's supposed to be $9.99, but shit, it's Mary J. Blige in Maple Heights. I'm gonna try to make it $12.99
Yeah,
or
I
$13.99.
mean,
See if
that
people.
was you could do stuff like that back then. What was somebody gonna say? So it was different, but it still kind of applies because
Yeah,
it's all I hear about. Like that's the big complaint that everybody has, and I know you don't pay resale for nothing.
I'm too cheap.
No, hell no.
Been a few times where I've like back, but it was back when I was at the record exchange where I had the money where I'm like,
Yeah,
I want these carnivores. I get paid on Monday. They're $300. I can make it for a week on this $70 until we get paid again. So,
right,
you know,
right.
I was doing that back then, but that was like a holy grail for me. So I was like, Bordeaux sevens, even though I wore them once and they separated just before the retro, back in
Yeah.
those days. But yeah,
That's the last one from like my youth that I still never got again. Is Bordeaux sevens, like
mm.
because I would get them all new. Like my first pair was neutral gray ones. They were Sky Jordans.
Woo!
Um, yeah, and I put purple fat laces in them because it was like 1986.
Mm.
And then my mom wouldn't get me Jordan 4s. She said they looked like Spider-Man. She wouldn't get them. But then we moved, like she made me move, and then I transferred schools in 1990. And so then she felt bad, and so she would buy me the new Jordans every year. So I got like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 until I was done with high school. So I would always get everything new back then. Um, but sevens I never ever got again.
Hmm.
Sixes I've had the most time. Those infrared sixes I've had like 4 or 5 times. I think I told you one time recently, or I might have commented one time recently. I remember the first pair of retros that I got were Chicago ones, and it was in like '95. But that was when I was living on the streets, and somebody literally stole them off my feet while I was asleep.
Oh.
Yeah, and they stole. I think I had like a Swiss Army knife in my pocket, and they stole that too.
Ah, damn. Yeah, I remember those. Like, I remember my dad bought them for me in 8th grade. They were at Champs in Tower City, and they were like $50. Like, nobody. I
Yeah,
was like, I should have asked for the black and red ones too, but
right.
they greedy. So I'm like, well, I'm just happy I got these. And
Hey, but nowadays,
yeah,
give them all.
I never thought that the Chicago one would ever surpass the black and red one. You
Yeah,
know,
I always liked it better, but like nobody else did. I always felt like I was in the vast minority.
yeah, it's just being you. Everybody else wanted the Brits.
Yeah, and on that same shoe when when I lived in Cleveland, still like I lived there my whole life, and I always had a guy for a thing, like if I needed a stereo, like I had a stereo guy. I needed some rims. I knew a guy that could get me rims, and I had a plumber. Like I had all these things, and I never, if I wanted new sneakers, I knew like a couple of guys, and so I would just be like, "Do you still work at Foot Action or whatever? Can you hook me up with?" Of course. So I never realized that like people were camping out and shit to get stuff, and then I moved to California and. When I first moved here, a pair of Chicago's retro, it was 2012, right?
13.
2013, yeah. And I was like, oh, I want to get those. And like I drove, there's a giant, it's like a giant Nike town in the city here. It's like 4 floors. And I drove there like late, like in the evening, like 6 o'clock at night, and was like, hey, can I get those? And they literally laughed at me, like laughed out loud. They were like, dude, there was like a giant line. Like, you can't just walk in here and get those. And I was like, what kind of shit is that? So I didn't realize that. It's so funny, like how far it has come, in such a short period of time.
Yeah, people used to clown me for wearing those 94, 95 Chicago. So ugly. They're red. Like, how could you wear those?
And they're paying thousands of dollars for them now.
Yeah, I know people that used to clown me still on Facebook that are comment. I'm like, yeah, 95 at Shaker Middle School, you was talking shit.
Right? Remember that?
So it was good. I appreciate that shirt, by the way, too. A very, very.
Oh, thanks, man. I always wear like music T-shirts, and I have piles of graphics T-shirts like you. Like I just have so many, and I like to just kind of rotate through them. Especially I work at home. Like, what difference does it make?
Nah,
I'll be in my underwear half the time.
I'm with you. Well, let me ask you. Do you consider yourself, would you have all the shoes you have, you have a lot of shoes, do you consider yourself a collector?
Yeah, I can't help it. Like my brain collects things. Like it's part of my like neurodivergence. Like my brain goes towards cataloging things, and it's always been that way. When I was real young, I was little, I collected stamps and knew everything about dinosaurs, and then I started liking baseball cards, and I had shit tons of sports cards, and then there's always something. Remember when I had like thousands of Nintendo games? Like I had there's like see this bookshelf back here?
Mm-hmm.
I bought that bookshelf, like an apartment in Cleveland that I lived in was a loft, and it was just like one giant room. I bought it to like make a wall between my bed and the rest of the apartment. And I needed that one because I needed it for 2 video game systems games. So one side was Sega Saturn. Every single shelf I had every Sega Saturn game. And then the other side was Neo Geo games. But I can't help it. Like I collect stuff, and I occupy space with this stuff. And fortunately, sneakers are something that I can wear and are fashionable, and my wife can get behind it. And it's not just like, if I collected like, I don't know, Funko Pops or something like that. This, what you see, this is my whole apartment. Like, this is it. This is California. Like, people don't live in houses unless, who knows what the hell they do.
Yeah.
But I would just take up all this space, and it would just be more annoying than it already is. Fortunately, we have a storage space downstairs where I keep most of them.
Good. I remember when I came to your house when you were living on a Miramar in South Euclid.
Yeah.
And you showed me, how you kept the games then, and I was just like,
there was a whole room.
Yeah.
Like, the whole room was filled with them.
You had all those TurboGrafx 16 games, Neo Geo games.
Yeah, those are my favorites. Saturn, TurboGrafx, Neo Geo. Those were the games that I loved.
Yeah.
And I still love Mario games, twin mother. I still love every Mario game. It doesn't matter what it is. I have a Switch. I play it every day of every Mario game. I love those games.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I know you're gonna look at me crazy. I've had my Switch. I got it for my birthday 3 years ago, so 2018. Ever since Smash Brothers came out, I haven't put another game in it. I'm just addicted.
Yeah, people love that game. People love Smash Brothers.
Yeah, ever since GameCube, like I didn't like it on the Wii, and I don't even know if it came out on the Wii U. I actually have a Wii U here. It was my son's, but since
I never got a Wii U, that's
you ain't missing nothing. But
I like my favorite Legend of Zelda game is the Wind Waker.
Okay.
And they made a remake of it on Wii U, and I'm hoping that for the Zelda anniversary this year or next year, this year, that they'll make a collection like they did with the Super Mario collection last year.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be on there.
Now, did you buy any of those Nintendo Pumas?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I have to be real selective, man, because I run out of space. So like I have to be pretty specific on the things that I buy, and I just don't have the room. There's that one pair of Pumas that I want that matches like a tracksuit, because I usually wear a tracksuit during the day, but it's starting to get warm. And there's a pair where they were like reissued like 2 years ago, and they were Ralph Sampson, OGs in like an original colorway, where they were like kind of bluish and gray, and I really wanted those, and I just missed out on them, and I can find the highs all the time or the mids, and I can never find the lows, and the lows are the ones that I want.
All right. Well, would you rather have a 12 or a 13? Because I'm looking
a 12. I feel like my feet shrank, and in fact, it's so weird, like the way that a lot of shoes like vary in size, because I'm usually like a 12 in everything these days, but like my iPad right now is sitting on a box that are the Air Max Plus 2s, and those Air Max Plus, like the ones that I sent you, they're so tight, and it's tough to get like just the right size, and I don't have another pair of Pumas to be like right now to be 100% sure that'll fit. I got a pair of those Forum 84 lows, those Adidas.
I want them.
Forum 84, man, they're sweet. I have a pair of 12 and a halves, and they're like, I can put 3 fingers behind my foot, and they're so huge.
Yeah.
But they look so dope, but I have to return them. They're just too big.
Yeah, I've never owned a pair of Adidas Forums. I'm kind of ashamed to say it. As many shoe stores as I've worked in, brand, I've never owned them. Like we had a pair on Coventry once that was raw, and I regret not getting them. They were like snakeskin, but they still look like OGs, but they were like $100. And Next used to, it'd be kind of funny with the discount if it was limited. So,
yeah, I get it. There's always stuff like that in hindsight, that you're like, I should have got that, people are always like, well, what's that one sneaker that got away that you wanted to get? And man, I could make a list that goes on and on and on of like times that I walked in someplace and picked something up that would,
That was one of my questions I was going to ask you.
Yeah. I think the last one was there's like I live in a town called San Anselmo, and it's basically like at the base of a mountain, like in the North Bay. Like the Bay Area is kind of like shaped like this, like this. And then this is like the water, and then this is San Francisco, and then this is the Golden Gate Bridge, and then there's like the North Bay, and then the peninsula, which is where the city is, and I live like up here.
Okay.
The next little town over is called San Rafael because everything's San something here. And there's a little skate shop there that is like a top tier SB store. And so they get everything. And you used to be able to just go get them, up until like 2019. And 2019, I just waited maybe a half hour for them to open and walked in and bought the UNC Jordan 1 SB lows, like it was nothing. And it was either just before that or just after that. I mean, I just was walking past and walked in and they had the like para SBs. And I was like, I just bought those other ones. If I get these, I don't want my wife to yell at me for getting like too many pairs of sneakers. So I'm just going to pass on these. I'm a fucking idiot,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It happens. It piles up.
Yeah, I have a couple. My biggest regrets probably when the Chicago's and the Shattered Backboards came out in 15. I got them both on Coventry.
Yeah.
Got pairs with discount, because they didn't care about Jordan 1s yet. So could have had both pairs for $86, but I was into
what the hell
into it with my now wife, and I was just like, I just don't want to come home, And I wanted to be fair for the line too, because the Chicago's wasn't really that bad. I mean, it was mainly a reseller line, but the Shattereds, like people slept outside for those.
Really? I feel like those were like nobody cared, and then like resale suddenly, like people were charging $600 for them, but you could get them like immediately when they came out. I don't know that I passed on those. I passed on the second ones too.
Mm-hmm.
The all orange ones for the exact same reason, where I was like, I just bought something like I can't just keep buying shoes, and I don't want to be. I have to be selective, and now I regret it.
Yeah, it's something I regret because I still should have just, if I'd have knew all this was gonna happen, life was gonna be this good, I'd have just bought shoes and she would have just been upset, and it would have been over in 2 days. But
yeah,
really soft on that one.
I saw on a I don't remember what sitcom it was, but one of those sitcoms that are all the same, where somebody said, she's mad, so what? Like, I wish that I could take that attitude. Like, no, I think that my wife is on here, right?
Yeah.
But no, she's mad. There's nobody else here. Like, so I'll be in real trouble. So you just got to kind of at least be, somewhat sensible with what you're doing. I mean, I know I already have 31 pairs of Jordan 1s. And,
that's right.
Getting another one in a different color. But I haven't bought one in a while. The 85 highs were the only one that I've gotten, I think, since 2019. I didn't get any last year, and that was the only one I got this year. There's all these like crazy ass colors and different like makes of them and stuff, comforts and craters, and I'm like, can I just get another pair of the OG colorways? Can I get UNCs? I passed on UNC ones, by the way, also now.
I just want UNC, the one from 15.
Yeah.
I didn't care about this last one either. It just wasn't. It was nice, but it wasn't like, I ain't got it.
No, I want the original one. I don't care about that. And that was another one I passed on. I remember distinctly, I was at a wedding in Washington, D.C., and it was like still on the app at like 3:00 in the afternoon. Like, don't you want the size 12? And I was like, I'm just going to pass.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Yeah. I mean, but I really feel like our era, I never thought Jordan 1s would be the Jordan. And I've said this on the show several times. I never thought it would happen.
No.
One of my young dudes was like, you really think that foams could come back? Because I was like, watch, foams are going to come back next. And I was like, dude, if Jordan 1s could be as unpopular as they were before 2011, anything is possible.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they just need like the current aesthetic to move in that direction, The Jordan 1 is such it fits like what people want to do. Like, people want things to look real vintage, right now. Like the whole, mind-blowing to guys our age, like wanting it to look old and like making it look old intentionally.
Yeah.
It's such a trip because, we're from an era where like, you want it to look new as long as you can. Like when I'm going to take the pictures out, like when I go on a hike and take my pictures, post on Instagram, I'm wearing Chuck Taylors like until it's time to take the picture. And those sneakers are in my backpack, and I take it out and take the Chuck Taylors off, put sneakers on, take the picture, and take them back off half the time. Um, so once that aesthetic kind of changes, maybe it won't be vintage. It'll be like, oh, they got to be futuristic looking, or pseudo futuristic looking. Like, I'm sure that those will come back because it's such a classic silhouette. It's such a classic look. It'll come back for sure. I've never owned a pair.
Really?
Yeah. No, it's unusual. I don't wear a whole lot of like newer looking silhouettes. Like I like LeBrons and I like Kobe's, but like usually, I'll go like Jordan 1 to like 13. I don't really like 11s that much. I know that's sacrilege. They just look too like, I don't know, futuristic for me. And I feel like, maybe I'm just, I'll be 45 in like a month. Like, maybe I'm just too old of an old man to be wearing like, futuristic looking shoes. I don't know.
I'm with you. I try to do it. If I wear something really futuristic, then I try to wear something that's old. Like I wore some Fobs yesterday, so I wore those pro leather joints. That came old.
Kind of balance it out.
Yeah, because I work for Converse, so when I have to wear their shoes, so not that it matters. I love Chucks. I'm trying to. I already had a lot before, but it's really been, nice. They've really looked out since I've been there. So
yeah, that's awesome. I used to wear Chuck Taylors like when I was real young, and then I wanted a pair recently. And we were talking about like size variations. You know what size I wear in Chuck Taylors? Oh, 10 and a half. Yeah. What the hell? Yeah. Like I had to return them twice. I was like, oh, size 12. I'm size 12 and everything. And man, it was like this much too long. And then I kept getting them shorter until I got the right size.
Yeah, I'm like that. Like a lot of my Chucks are 10 or 10 and a half, and I'm 11 and a half, 12. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
Man. Also, I really wanted to thank you for sending me the link. This is still my old pair. I only because of the
fire.
But they came today. They're actually upstairs.
Oh, nice.
A comparison video. My dude from Foot Locker looked out. I was just so mad at Macy's because they waited 4 days.
That sucks. Yeah.
I got them. There are some differences between these and those. On the newer pair, the gray is a lot lighter. The swoosh is a little different shape. So I made a comparison video that I'm going to post.
I'll be interested to see.
Yes.
I think mine come tomorrow, I think.
Yeah. So it's like I know they have to change it a little bit, but
even if they don't intentionally, it's so rare that they get it right, and they they'll work on it and work on it. It's better than it used to be when they just didn't give a shit. And they were just like, here it is. I don't care. I changed the tag. I changed the shape. Put a little jump man on the back. I don't give a shit. Here it is. You'll buy it anyway. Put some perforations in it and shit.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they work on it a little bit more. Like those, or they call them Air Max 3s again, infrareds or whatever, solar reds. Like, just everything about it seemed like they put actual thought into making it look like the original again, which is really, really nice.
Yeah.
So it's tough for them to get it right, though. There's always little things that people nitpick over.
That is true. It's true. I'm one of those people.
Of course. You have no reason to not be, I get it if like you're, and it's not disparaging to say, but I get it if you're new and you didn't have them before. Like when I never had 3s in '89. I didn't get a pair until the True Blues in 2015, I think. And they're shit. Like the leather is shit. They feel like vinyl, and the tongue sticks up this far, and the red wraps around the top of the tongue, and like the elephant print is like this long when it should be like this long. And like, bro, I love them. I don't care. Like, that was my first pair, and that's how they looked, and the box toe and everything. I don't care. But it's cool that they're kind of making it, closer and closer and closer. Because, the last pair I saw up close were those UNC 3s, which I passed on, which is stupid. But, they started getting it a lot more right with the shape and the size of the pieces and everything.
Yeah, because even with the, like, to me, the black cement 3 from 18 was made better than the true blue from 15.
Oh, for sure.
But it's
It's
still,
still garbage.
yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't like the cement still came up too high on the toe.
Yeah.
And I'll also say it was a travesty for them to let 2018 end without them coming out with the regular white cement 3, without it being a clear bottom or a Timberlake or all of that. I still need a pair. My pair from
The
crumpled.
the glaring holes in my collection. There's like a couple of sneakers that I like normally won't admit that I don't have or I've never had white cement threes. Is like it kills me. Like it kills me that I don't have them. And I also don't have black and red ones. And that's like the other one where like, fuck. I'm not paying resale for either one of those. You can kiss my
Oh
ass.
no.
Like they'll retro again eventually. And I ain't paying no $700 or whatever.
Nah,
No way.
nah.
The only time that I ever paid resale for something is like at the beginning of the year, I I sold something and sold something and sold something for enough that I bought something that was expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So like I sold this guy a pair of Air Max Plus Hyper Blue or whatever. I sold you that pair, and then I took that money and then I bought um, a pair of dunks that was the community garden dunks.
Nice.
I hit a raffle on that, and then I sold those and bought something else, and then sold those, and then I hit the neutral gray raffle multiple times, and so then that paid for one of those that I sold and bought Grinches for like $500.
Nice.
But I didn't really pay that. All I did was when I sold something, the money goes into like the little goat account. And then I just was like, now there's enough money, buy now. Because I go for everything. Like, if I want it or not, like, I'll get it. And then if I get it, I'll do something with it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'll trade it to somebody or I'll oop it to somebody or, because for some reason, I go in hot streaks of getting lucky. Like, how did I win neutral grays 3 times? Like, but nothing since.
Nah,
That's how it goes.
I had a little hot streak a little bit after we moved down here. I had hit on the veneer dunks, and I had one of those back at Record Exchange. But
Oh, yeah, I saw that you got those. Those are nice.
yeah. I mean, the quality was better than a lot of these other dunks, but it was still a lot of glue stains on it. But I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
for $100, fine.
If they're $100 shoes and you're gonna wear them. It's not like, who cares? They're gonna get worn. Those will rub away, or nobody will notice when they're on feet.
Yeah.
And when we talk about sneakers that we passed on or like we regretted in the past, taking it back a step or two, the other cool thing in my area is I live in between a bunch of different Nike factory stores. So like I can drive directly north and get to one. I can drive northeast and get to one, southeast and get to one, and south to get to one. And I go because I don't have any friends. Like I don't have anything to do like on my days off. So just to get out of the house, I'll just be like, I'm going to go to one of the Nike outlets, And back in like 2014, 2015, I mean, Jordan 1 lows would be like $40. And I bought dunks for nothing, like nobody gave a shit. And like the De La Soul lows, I bought those for $25, and they had like not just like a full size run, but like the whole goddamn aisle was just that shoe for $25. Like,
Oof.
I passed on so many things at outlets that cost nothing back then. Now you can't find that shit at the outlets
Yeah.
ever.
It was like that for me with Closeout. That's when
Yeah.
being in North Carolina, Closeout is better than Cleveland, but thrifting is not.
No.
Thrifting there is much, much better at home in Cleveland, but
Yeah. Here, if you try to go to the thrift store, like a vintage shirt that would have been like $1 in Cleveland is like $10. Like I went to the thrift store that's in the next town over, I said before, it's called San Rafael. And they have a Salvation Army, and their least expensive things are like $10, no joke.
Yeah.
It's California. Everything costs more here. It's bullshit.
Ooh. Well, I got to ask you about, before we wrap up, about Cleveland and how much, you miss it, because I would tell you I miss Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely miss a lot of things about Cleveland, but there's a lot of things that I definitely feel like I'm glad I live in California. Like, The things, and those have definitely evolved over time. A big thing, I'm not like a preachy guy about it, but like a big thing for me in the last couple of years is sobriety. And I stopped drinking and I stopped doing drugs and I stopped everything. So like I'm completely sober now, and it's a lot easier when I don't know anybody, you know. And in Cleveland, if I lived in Ohio or lived in Cleveland, I think that I would still be okay, but it would definitely be harder. Moving to California, also one of the first things that was really awesome is, you know, pot is totally legal, like totally legal. Where like, I mean, somebody delivers it here like pizza, and like you can just like walk outside and smoke, and you know, on the street, nobody gives a shit. It's normal. But when I first moved here, like we were at like we saw Talib Kweli in like a outdoors venue, and everybody, old, young, 80-year-olds, everybody smoking pot. Like it was just super normal.
Wow.
And that was awesome when I first moved here. But now that I stopped, you know, that isn't quite as awesome. There's just so many differences. It's such a different place. But the biggest thing I think about living here now versus there, with the political climate that came about in 2016, I think that a lot of people expose themselves, especially like in my demographic, like people kind of, if you, as far as I'm concerned, if you don't condemn a racist, then you support racism. And here, there's not any kind of Trump support. Like there were no Trump supporters in the area. And then I would see in Ohio so much of mingling between like, oh, I have friends who are, and so is. And I'm like, I'm glad I moved 2,000 miles away so that I didn't have to physically end a friendship, you know? So that I have to be like, you do what? No, we can't be friends anymore. I can just like abandon that friendship and like let that ship sail because I live so far away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm married a woman from Egypt and converted him to, you know, Ramadan is tomorrow, Ramadan Mubarak, converted to Islam. Like I can't support anything like that. I couldn't support anybody that supported Trump. So I'm really glad that I was able to just kind of let that sail. You know, some of my closest friends, you know, like their parents and stuff were supporters, and I would say something and they'd be like, here's my justification of why my parents are supporters. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about your justification. Like, I know that your parents were like parents to me when I was a teenager, but times changed. And like, if that's what you support, then I can't mingle with that. It's funny looking the way that I look. If you want to know what white America thinks about you, no matter who you are, like whatever group you are, except for white America, I'll tell you, because all I have to do is be alone with them for 5 minutes, and then they're like, and then it all starts coming out, and I'm like, who the fuck do you think I am? Like, you can't say shit like that to me. It just all comes out. So I'm glad that I could isolate myself from that and not have to be, you know, the one that has to be like, you can't say that around me, or like, I don't want to hear shit like that, or, you know, get into a fight over it. You know, that doesn't.
So,
Although when I did move here, one of the first couple of months that I lived here, I sat by myself at a bar in an Outback, and there were two guys that were sitting like on a corner of the bar right by me, and they went on the deepest, most hateful, most profanity-filled racist tirade I ever heard in my life. And at the end, and I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, they're saying this, and like, the three of us are the only white people in the place, because it's a huge Hispanic population in the area. And they're saying all kinds of shit. And at the end, it was like a movie. They were like, they shook hands and were like, white America, white America. And I was like, the fuck? And so when I was done drinking my beer and ready to go, I asked the bartender if I could talk to her, and was like, do you know these two guys? She was like, yeah, they come in here all the time. And then I told her, and she was like, can you wait a second? And she went and got the general manager and stuff, and everybody was like, what? And the place closed. shortly afterwards. So I wonder, like, what happened.
Ooh.
But I don't want it to be like a movie and me be like, what are you guys doing? And then, one of them be like the racist sheriff of the town and me get pulled over and curb stomped or something.
Yeah.
But the shit is everywhere, and I just am glad that I moved far enough away that I could isolate myself, because the community that I live in right now is like the most liberal and accepting community that you could ever, ever hope for. Like, everybody here is super about diversity and super about, I mean, every sign and every window and every yard everywhere around here is about diversity and acceptance. So it's really nice.
Like the opposite here.
I know, yeah. And I think about, the difference in like cost of living and all of the, being closer to family and lifelong friends and things of moving back. But, there's stuff like that that really just kind of puts up that, builds that wall. See what I did there?
Man.
That prevents me from wanting to come back to Ohio.
Yeah, I miss Cleveland. You miss your friends and your family, but I don't miss the weather. I don't miss. It's the expectations people have on you. Like, you went back to Cleveland, you went, even though Coventry is very different, than it was back in our day. Or if you went to Cedar,
yeah,
and certain people were there, they expect you to be, like old Mike. They wouldn't, understand.
Yeah.
Why don't you, So I don't.
Yeah, I was at before it's closed now, but I used to drink at the wine bar on Coventry. It was called Le Cab du Vin,
Yeah.
and like I lived there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I drank every day. I lived across the street, so I would go every day and shut it down every day. That was where I hung out. And then before I moved, I went there, and I hadn't been going there so much in my later years, and I went, and there was a couple of guys that were like the guys that I used to go there with in the 90s, and they were like, oh, we're revoking your Coventry card because you don't come down here anymore. I'm like, you sad-ass motherfuckers, you still do the same shit. It's been 15 years, and you guys are still down here doing the exact same thing.
I definitely hung out there with you at least 3 or 4 times.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because I think
we're going to a bar, that's where we're going.
Yeah, I think you got me hip to it, because I was like, I never even knew this was down here,
Oh yeah.
So,
well, one of my longtime guys that worked at Coventry, his brother was the bartender there, and so we would go there. And then 2 of the guys that worked at Coventry worked also at the grog shop, which was upstairs. So it was like I didn't have to pay to go see shows. Like, I didn't really have to pay for all my drinks. Like, my closest friend, she dated that same guy whose brother worked, so she would always, put me on for everything. It was like I said, when you move away, you lose all your hookups. Like, those were my hookups,
Yeah.
So I stayed there.
Yeah. Well, with all the shoes that you have, is there like a go-to shoe where you're like, all right, I'm gonna, come this way today? What's that shoe for you?
That I wear the most?
Well, yeah, we'll say that your favorite.
I mean, I wear my Chicago ones like a lot. Like, those are probably, I mean, they're definitely my favorite shoe. I'm not the type of person that gets more than one pair. Like, people will be like, oh, I'm doubling up on that pair. But I doubled up on a pair just because I got a second pair at an outlet for like $90. So I wear white cement 4s a lot because I have like another pair that's still new and, in like a Ziploc bag. And so I'm not worried about those getting beat up. So those are probably the 2 that I wear the most. But since the pandemic started, I don't really have anywhere to wear sneakers to. And I sit right here, like I'm sitting at my desk, like in front of a computer, and I work, on a computer for 9 hours a day, which is bizarre. So I take like a little stupid ass, dumbass walk around my neighborhood every day. Like, I walk around a block this way and walk around the block that way. And I'm not wearing like basketball shoes on a walk. So I definitely wear a lot more Air Max these days than I used to. So like my 97 Silver Bullets or 98 Gundams are really the ones that just never come out of rotation for me. Like, I just always wear those.
Yeah, those Gundams were a hard L. I took that. I had them back in the 90s. I had them at Record Express, but
yeah, when people didn't give a shit.
Yeah, you could just get them. I think I got them from Adler's the Beach for like $80, something like that. But
that was another trade for me. I bought a pair of this is probably the best come up. Do you guys have Ross out that way?
Mm-hmm.
It's Marshalls, basically. I bought a pair of Supreme Air Max 98s at a Ross for $35.
Mm.
But they were 11 and a half, so they were like a little small. And so there's a kid that loved them at my store where I work, and he was like, oh, they're so, and I'm like, what size are you? He's like 11 and a half. And I'm like, if you go on StockX and buy me Gundams, I'll give you this pair. And he's like, this pair's like $700. And I'm like, and the Gundams are, $250 or something at the time. And he bought them, and that was my trade. So that's pretty good deal.
Yeah, on both sides, because
yeah, for sure.
Like I can't believe I was able to get the Tour Yellows because I had them from the 14 release. Nobody 98, but those Gundams, like I still need them, but I just can't see paying $300 or $400.
No, that's madness.
But oh man, well, what would you say influences your purchasing habits when you do buy a shoe?
Well, good question. I'm like, I'm a OG colorway guy, like I want, if I only have one pair, I only have one pair of Air Max 98s and they're Gundams, I only have, one pair of the OG colorways of stuff. And once I get one or two pairs, that'll be like I have, white cement 4s and black and red playoff 4s and the recently released fire red 4s. And if I got military blue 4s, I'd be like, okay, that's it. Like I don't need to get any other 4s unless something came out that I was like, oh, I have to have that, or like, got like a deal on it. Then I can be done with something. So sometimes like these, I really wanted those structures. But I mean, I'll never buy another pair. Like I got that colorway, and that was the original colorway, and that was the one I wanted, and then that's it. So that's usually what kind of influences me is I'm like, oh, they're going to re-release that. What was the original colorway? I'll get it. Oh, Persian Violet, big windows, like that's it. I don't need any other one. That's enough for me.
Okay. All right. Do you have a holy grail? Is there like, I know you were talking about the Bread 1 and the White Cement 3. Is there like a shoe where you just like, I need that. That's the shoe I want more than any other shoe?
It's funny because like a lot of people, it changes through time, or like what I want. And there were a couple from the last few years that like I really, really wanted, but then I got like I really, really, really wanted those beach Jordan 2s, those Just On ones. Mm-hmm. I really wanted those. Like I love like a neutral color and like how they're just like all tan and like that plush leather. And then my wife bought them for me for anniversary. And I traded Travis Scott Dunks for Sean Witherspoon's because I really wanted those. And I don't even know who Travis Scott is. Like, I mean, I'm aware that he exists, but I don't give a shit about Travis Scott. So when I hit those, I immediately traded those to somebody for a new pair of Witherspoons. There's a couple of pairs like that we mentioned where I'm just like, I'm not paying that for those because I know they'll retro, but the one that I don't know if it'll retro again, that I can't believe it cost so goddamn much, and I was pissed when I couldn't get it. I talked to you the day before they came out, where our Atmos Air Max 1s, like it irritates the shit out of me that people want $1,000+ for those. But if I had to say what's the shoe that I wish that I had the most that I don't think would retro again, I would say that that's what it is those Atmos Air Max 1s. I love them, and I want them so goddamn bad, but I'm not paying $1,000.
Well, I'll tell you that if I ever, because my pair is a size 12, if I ever sell them, I'll only sell them to you.
Thank you for saying that. Nope. We talked about it the day before they came out, how we both wanted to get them, and that it was the anniversary Air Max pair, and I was in town for wedding stuff. I think that we got married on the same day, by the way, or like the end of my marriage was on the same day that you got married. because you know in Islam we have to do like a bunch of different ceremonies to get married. So there's like 3 things that happen.
Huh.
Like I have to go and ask her parents like if we can get married, and then we have like the part where the Hammam, the Islamic priest, like marries us. That's called a Kaud Kitab. And then we have like the ceremony part where it's like, I mean, we have like the party part, which we had in Egypt. And then we did another one in Cleveland. And I think that either one of those 2 last parts, I think was the same day that you got married.
Okay. Yeah, because our anniversary is October 7th, 17.
Yeah, it's October 17th. Yeah. I think that was the day that we were just done finally with everything, because it was like a year-long grind of us having to do all this stuff. So yeah, October 17th, that was when we were done in Cleveland. We did that at the Science Center.
Yeah. Well,
Cool.
ours was the 7th.
I'm sorry, the 7th?
Yeah, ours was the 7th.
Oh, maybe it wasn't then.
7.
It's close.
Sorry. But yeah, that was a good time. I like how you did it too, the way you got married and the kicks and everything. I was.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I had to bring them along. I wasn't wearing those the whole time. I mean, I just put them on and take a picture. But I was wearing like velvet loafers. Like I still look cool as shit. But I definitely brought a couple of pairs of shoes with me to Egypt.
Like. I was mad when we got married. We wanted to get married in IDs. We wanted to do 95s, and Nike kept taking them on and off ID. So we had to end up just getting shoes that had our wedding colors in it. So she had some yellow Chucks, and I had these KD9s, the Birds of Paradise. They were our wedding colors. So
yeah, that's really nice.
I would have liked to have gotten married in some IDs, for the occasion.
Yeah.
But it worked.
We were actually, like, I had the money set aside and I had it all planned out that I was going to have a custom pair of Jordan 1s made at Shoe Surgeon.
Oh.
I mean, they were really expensive. And then when it came time to actually place the order, like I had discussed it with them and planned it out, I was like, let's just look at it again with my wife. And she was like, so they're not going to be our wedding colors? And I was like, why would they be? And she's like, why wouldn't they be? And I was like, well, shit, like that, let's think about it. And then I was like, it'd be better if we just didn't spend the money on that. I mean, we don't need to spend that much money on something, that's not that important. But she's right. And I'm such a selfish prick. I hadn't thought about it that way until she said it. So I should have.
So I'm like, oh yeah.
Smart man. Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah. Well, what's your most recent cop?
I got a bunch of stuff at once. Probably those structures I got most recently, but like that week I got the structures. I bought a friend of ours worked for Adidas and gave us and they were going to stop working there. So they were like, if you want something, let me give you a 50% off code now before I go. And so I bought those forums and those, they don't call them burgundy, I don't think, but like those burgundy wool Ultra Boost 1.0s that they re-released, and they're fire. And Adidas never really fit me right. Ultra Boost always seemed a little bit short, but these ones, for whatever reason, like I have 2.0s and 3.0s, and they feel a little short, but these ones are perfect. They're so nice.
Yeah.
And before that week, I got something else. Oh, these fucking Air Max Plus 2s that my iPad's sitting on.
Yeah, I need a pair of those.
They sold out in a 12, and then they went on sale and they were like $110. And I was like, oh, I wish that they would come in my size. And I looked a couple of times and I was like, no, they're sold out. And then one day I looked and they had a size 12. And I went to order it and it was like, sorry, it's sold out. And I was like, bullshit. And I went to my phone instead of my computer and it let me check out and send them to me. So yeah, they were cheap. I had a gift card too, so they were really only like $30-$40.
That worked out.
Yeah, I haven't worn them yet or anything. I'm not the type of person that doesn't wear sneakers often. Like, will save them to not wear or to wear for a special occasion. But I do have a couple of pairs that I haven't worn yet. That I'm just like kind of sitting on. I got those also in a raffle. I don't know if you saw those dunks that were like Frame, the skate shop in the United Arab Emirates, and they kind of look like Chicago's, but they have like two swooshes. One of them is green,
Yeah, that was.
and they're called Habibi. Um, and so they're Middle Eastern dunks. So like obviously like I want to save them and wear them the next time we go to Egypt because they have like the print on the laces and everything. Like that would be really cool to wear there. So I haven't opened those, and I have a couple of pairs that I just haven't. I mean, I sit at home all day. What the hell am I going to do?
No, I'm with you. Excuse me, I'm not coughing. I got bronchitis, but
Oh, I have chronic bronchitis. I hear you.
yeah. Well,
Hey, so my wife is chiming in.
oh, hey, represent. Yeah, my bad. I want to say everybody who watched, I appreciate it. I really am bad at interacting with people joining the video.
I don't even know how.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I'll read on what to do for next time.
well. So there isn't anything that you won't that you just like. I'm never gonna wear these. It's nothing like that. You wear everything.
Yeah, I wear everything. I mean, there's definitely, like sneakers that I don't want to wear too much. Not even just because I don't want to wear them out, but like when like I work, I show up at a store with like 150 people every day, and I don't want to like keep repeating a shoe. You know what I mean? Like if it's something, especially something that's gaudy, like I have off-white. Yeah, I'm selling. Like I have off-white ones. Like I'm not gonna wear those like super frequently, because then they'll lose their impact. Like when I break them out, then it's more of a big deal than if I wore them every week.
Yep.
So there's ones I definitely wear less than ones I wear more.
I need to record you saying that because a lot of people don't understand that. I'm like, look, if people are seeing me every day, I gotta come, gotta come with it, Because even at Converse, like,
Yeah.
nobody knows. It's like, oh, he's got on the collab with such. Like nobody there knows. The customer there doesn't
No.
know, and the staff doesn't even really know. But I know, and that's.
Yeah, right. It's funny because if I know that somebody else at the store has the same pair or like one of the same pairs as me before I wear it, I will text them and be like, don't wear these today because we ain't wearing the same shit. Like, that ain't gonna happen. One time, like I said, I do like the training and onboarding for new employees and like groups. And one time, this little girl showed up to training and she was literally wearing the exact same outfit as me. The same cause shirt from Uniqlo, like black pants, like black, like and
Yeah.
I didn't say anything at first, but then like more than one person came back to see how the training went, and they were like, dude, do you know that Mike is furious right now that you guys are wearing the exact same thing? You know that's burning him up inside. And I'm like, ugh. And I never wore that outfit ever again to work. No way.
Wow.
I was pissed.
I've never had that happen, surprisingly. I mean,
that was the first time ever.
Yeah. Yeah. How do the cost shirts fit? My bad.
But I can see that somebody joined that I think was in that group, in fact. Katie. She knows I don't want anybody to wear the same shit as me when I'm at work. No way.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well,
but I won't wear something the same. I mean, I know you don't either. I won't wear the same thing 2 days in a row either.
No.
Like I'll have it planned out and be like, no, like at least 2-3 weeks.
Even like the last shoe that I was really excited about, where I might have wore it multiple times in a week, was when the Aquas came out, and that was partially because 90% of my shoes were in storage. I was moving.
Yeah.
But before that, when the Bordeaux came out in 2011, when I was working for DTLR, or back when it was called Villa, I wore those a lot to the point where my wife was even like, God, you're wearing those again?
Yeah, stop wearing
You know what I
those.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
but it's been a while. I want to be excited like that for a shoe again.
Yeah.
It's been.
But it kind of loses that feeling over time, doesn't it? It's like
Yeah.
when I decided like I was going to sell all of the shit that I got from the record exchange. I was like, I don't even care. Like I have thousands of CDs, and at least 35% of them I never even opened. Like they don't have any meaning to me anymore. So I just like copied them all and let them go. Like over time, like getting a new pair of sneakers, it doesn't have the same impact. Like I get the high off of waiting for them to like getting them and then waiting for them to show up, and then I get them in hand and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll wear them later. I don't know.
Yeah. Like
It has to be something special.
And I try to relate to people that the more sneakers you have, the more of anything you have, the less value. It's just like you with all those games you had. It's like you got a new game now. It's like,
Yeah. You know what's funny about games and CD? I mean, about everything from the record exchange is that no, I'm not. Everything about the record exchange is like you can get all that stuff for free basically now. Like all those Neo Geo, Sega Saturn TurboGrafx games that were that took up that entire shelf. Like I have like a handheld emulator that has every Nintendo game, every Genesis game, every TurboGrafx game, every Neo Geo game, every Game Boy game, Game Boy Advance game, PlayStation 1 game. It has like a million games on it, and I can plug it on the TV, and I download them all for free.
I was gonna ask you, I'm like, so do you still game? I know you've not.
No, I still play games for sure. I mean, I play games a lot, but it's different than it was back then. Everything is downloaded. I don't I haven't bought a physical game since 2010 at least. I just download everything. But I get games and I'll be obsessed with them still. There's a free game that came on PlayStation 4 this month, and it's called Subnautica. And it's like a survival game where like you're in a spaceship that crashes on like an ocean planet, and that's it. There's no directions and nothing to do. And like I play that game like it was my fucking job. Like I play it all the time. Like as soon as my wife like falls asleep on the couch, I'm like, she's asleep, and then I turn it on. I turn off the game I was playing before she fell asleep, and then turn on the TV. So I still play lots of games. Do you? You said you just play Smash Brothers?
For the Switch, I haven't turned on any of the older systems because I still have a decent amount of stuff from the record exchange. I don't have everything, but I still have all of the other systems. Because it's just, people will be like, people will come to the house like, sell me that or whatever, but I know I'm not going to ever get it for free or for very little like I got it. So I'm like, nah, I can't do this. But
no. I mean, it's not the same either, Like, it's just not the same as, like, putting the cartridge in or something,
Because, like, we got for the first floor, we got the little Genesis AV game thing.
Yeah.
It's cool, but I still got my Nomad, and I still have my Genesis.
Yeah, I do still have a Nomad.
So you're the only other person I know with that or even would know about that. Most people think it's just Game Gear. They don't even know about
that.
So.
No, I mean, what a great idea, poorly executed system. Like, remember the battery pack and shit that went on the back? Yeah. It took like 6 AA batteries, and it lasts like a couple hours. The only reason that I have that is because my dad liked some Sega game. I forget what it was. It was like a military strategy game. And he came to the record exchange and bought a Nomad and that game so he could play it on like a flight one time, and then he forgot he had it, and he mailed it to me like a couple years ago. He was like, I forgot about this thing. He's trying to make it up to me because he threw away my first video game system that I ever had without asking me if I wanted it. I'm like, dude, you helped me move one time. Remember how it took all day just to move video games? And you threw away my first video game system? Like, why would you do that?
Oh, man.
It was a Bally Astrocade. You ever heard of that?
I've never
1981.
Whew.
Yeah.
That's before ColecoVision and Eric, before
Yeah, I mean it had like bootleg versions of like Atari and ColecoVision games. Like it didn't have Pac-Man. It had this game called Muncher that was Pac-Man.
Mm.
Like it had its own generic versions of stuff. Really
Oh.
throwback. My sister remembers that, I see.
I see her laughing down there.
Yeah.
What is your favorite game of all time? I don't think I ever got to ask you this.
I don't care if it didn't work. That didn't make a difference to me. I still wanted it. It's there's different answers for that question. You know, it's like saying like, who's your favorite musician? Like, it's Prince, but you know, it just depends. Like on when you ask me. My favorite game, the game that I have played the most is Skyrim and Fallout. Like they're this. Have you ever played either one of those?
I play.
They're Fallout. Skyrim is the same game, except it's like fantasy, like dragons and shit. But they're the exact same game. They play the same. They look the same. The mechanics are the same. They're basically the same game. And I play that game all the time. I have it for PlayStation. I have it for the Switch. I had it for the PlayStation 3. I have it for the PlayStation 4. I love those games and play them all the time. They're just incredible. Like, you know, in Fallout, you can do a lot more like mean stuff, and like it makes a difference. You know, it's like those games where like you make a decision that's like, then, you know, somebody will be like, oh, help me do this thing. And you can be like, yeah, I'll help you, or no, I'm going to murder you and take all your money. And when it first came out, I didn't understand that. I just did what I thought, what I would normally do, which is usually the mean thing. And I didn't realize like how much of the game I was missing, because instead of helping the sheriff locate his missing son, I snuck up on him and stuck a grenade in his back pocket, blew off his legs, and ate his corpse. Like, I was like, that's what I would have done in real life. But I could have gotten more stuff. So it makes the replay value high, because you can make all these different decisions that result in all these different goals, and opens up different paths. So I just really enjoy those games.
Yeah, that was.
But classic games, I have, there's other games that I have definitely loved more in the past, for sure.
Yeah, at the Record Exchange, you made me realize replay value, because I remember you were the first person I ever saw like accelerate the Nintendo. I'm trying to think of the word, but the home Nintendo games, Mario, Donkey Kong, Zelda.
Yeah.
And I remember asking you,
like the first party games?
Yeah, the first party.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you making these more? And you were like, the replay value on them is, and I'm like,
yeah,
like,
people go back and play them again.
And I'm like, damn, it made sense.
Yeah.
Like,
because there's a lot of people that just play it and then put it down and never play it again.
Mm-hmm.
There's like, this is the, like, I got through it, so why would I look at it again? So
yeah.
For me, like, wanting to perfect, getting through it, or like repeatedly play so that I can make different achievements and stuff, they really work on that a lot with newer games. But like, my, one of my other games where on another day I'd say is my favorite game is Metal Slug 3 on Neo Geo.
Back in the day.
Yeah. And I would work on that game where like I would play and play and play and play until like I could get all the way. I never got all the way through on one life, but I could get all the way to the last level on one life. But the last level is impossible. So the replay value is important for sure. What do you play besides Smash Brothers? Like what is your favorite thing that you're playing?
Other than that,
or you don't play long-term games anymore?
It's been a while. The last game I was excited about, and I got it, played it a few times, and put it down, was I was excited for the Mario Maker.
Oh yeah.
For the Wii U, and then they have it for the Switch now. But I really think the last game I played a lot was Little Big Planet.
Oh yeah, it was pretty similar.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
so you like that control over like making something.
Yeah, and it's been a while since I've even played the sports games. Like I used to always be like, I gotta get 2K, I gotta get live. But it's been years. Like
yeah,
it's been.
And you like will lose your edge like if you don't keep playing those. And that's like the thing for me with sports games is like, if you're not playing and you're not practicing, you're not like on it, then you play somebody else who is, and there is no reason for you to have played because they'll just beat the shit out of you. And if it's online, then they will talk shit while they're doing it. Like, you ain't shit. Like, you ain't shit. Like, why are you even playing? And you're like, I don't know why I'm playing. I'm going to turn it off. You know?
I've had it happen.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I don't play games online. I play one-player games. That's basically it. One-player games.
Yeah. I just I had to realize that the sports games aren't for me anymore. I'm just not into it. And I still follow the NBA, but like since All-Star break, or since the made-up All-Star game they had, I just haven't been with it.
Yeah, nobody wanted to play in that. Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, it's hard. It's hard to watch local sports when you leave the area. Like, I mean, I would have to, until recently, I would have to find, and it wasn't hard, but I would have to find like bootleg streams to watch Browns games, because who the fuck is going to air a Browns game nationally, you know?
Yeah.
And the one year I paid, where I was like, I'll pay for the Sunday ticket so that I don't have to deal with that, was the year that we had drafted Johnny Manziel. And so they put a couple of the games on TV, and I had to work a couple of Sundays, so I ended up being able to watch 2 games that year. It was like $200, $300. So now I just mooch off my brother, gives me like his YouTube TV password, and then I log into YouTube TV and watch local sports because it thinks I'm in Cleveland.
Nice. See, I have a similar situation where we have AT&T TV, and if I try to look at it on my phone, it knows that the phone knows we're in North Carolina, but the TV still thinks we're in Cleveland. So when I turn on the TV, it's still Cleveland TV. And
that's nice.
I don't get to watch the local news, but I still watch Cleveland news. I'm like, I still want to know what's going on in Cleveland, you know.
Man, I don't watch the news. Twitter is my news feed. I just look on Twitter if I want to know the news.
I feel like an old man saying this, but I never could get with Twitter, man. It went right from to Instagram, and I missed it. I'm really active on it, and I'm like, I can't get with it.
I wouldn't say I'm active, but like I post on Twitter. I post sneaker pictures, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But like I go to Twitter most often for like, news. Like, did DMX die yet? Twitter. Like I want to know stuff. And stuff on Twitter comes out immediately, and it's like I'm not waiting for the news to tell me anything, because it'll be like, I don't know, an hour later. I don't want to wait that long. I want to know now.
Whatever musician dies, I just think back to how at the record exchange, whenever somebody, like if we were at record exchange right now, all of the DMX stuff would be gone.
DMX going crazy.
Gone.
I mean, I don't know. You didn't work there then, but like when Tupac died, I mean, people were crying in the store and people were fainting. It was like they were at the funeral. Like, it was madness in there when Tupac died. And like, I didn't really get why it was so impactful. And like, I had to really like do some soul searching at the time to be like, why is everybody so impacted? He's a musician that died. And then I had to really like put in the effort to be like, oh shit, now I get it. You know what I mean? That was like the first time I really thought about it. Because somebody else would die and, it's a celebrity. I'm like, another celebrity died, so. And then when Prince died, like, I had to go home from work. Like, my family was calling me and being like, dude, are you okay? Like, are you sure? And I was like, I had to go home. I couldn't stand it. Prince died.
Nah, I get it. I mean, for me, it was sort of like that, where when I was younger, I'm like, okay. But, yeah, I had a similar instance. Really, the only celebrity death that's really hit me hard was Kobe. The others hurt. But
that was crazy.
Just the way it happened and how it happened is messed up, And
it's still messed up, Seeing, like, finding out more information on those goddamn cops that, like, were, texting each other pictures. Like,
yeah.
Crazy world, man. Cops are crazy. My stepdad was a cop. I know exactly what they're like in real life.
Yeah, I can imagine. Out of all the locations that you ran, I have to ask you this, too. What was your favorite CD game exchange or record exchange location? Both.
Coventry was my home. Like, I lived at Coventry. Like, that was where I was hired. That's where I spent the most time. Like, when I first became a manager, I helped set up and open the Van Aken store when it was like in the original spot.
Mm-hmm.
So being manager there and then coming back, like, they were like, oh, we want you to go be manager at like Willoughby. And I was like, man, fuck a Willoughby. But I went there for like a very short period of time before they were like, we need you to actually be manager and like in charge of Coventry. And that was like, you know, my dream come true. Like I always wanted to be in charge of Coventry. I would ride my bike, you know, in the 80s up to the Coventry store, you know, and buy stuff. Do you know, I don't know if you know this story, but one of the first times that I ever went to the Coventry Record Exchange was like, you know, 1984, 1985. And I just remember that Rich was yelling at somebody like as I was trying to like get in the store. And back then you could smoke in the store. And so Rich was literally smoking a cigar and like yelling at this guy like inside of a retail store. And I was just like, I wanted to get Funkadelic record. And I was like looking, oh, like, oh, we got a Funkadelic record. And I just heard it escalate, and I turned around, and Rich jumped over the counter and punched this dude and was like manhandling a customer. And I was like, oh my God, like I have to leave, you know, because I was like 10.
Yeah.
And the cops came and took the guy away that Rich jumped over the counter and punched, like took the customer away and not Rich, who assaulted the man. And you know, you know that you don't really remember things. You know, the way humans' memory works is that you remember the last time you remember it. So like when I'm remembering that story, I'm remembering the memory, you know, over and over and over again. So who knows how much of that is a real memory and how much of that is like me just remembering it because I was 10.
Yeah.
But I just always loved that store and always wanted to be in charge of it. And it sucks that it's like some kind of noodle place or smoothie place or something now.
Yeah. Pho and rice or something.
Yeah, something like that. And you know, they moved that they moved the store up to where the old video place was. I don't know if you ever go in there. But like it's so weird the way that they changed that business because you know, they took all of the black music and put it in the porno room in the back. So like all of the soul and rap and gospel and jazz and all that shit is like in the fucking back.
Yeah.
And then they expanded the rock section out to be the entire rest of the store, where it was basically the opposite when I ran that store. And they built their business on the black dollar. And then the way that they just, I don't know, decided that they were going to flip it and, you know, be like, we're trying to attract, literally make the decision to be like, we want more white customers. I don't know, just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, it was hard to be there as they were changing it because they kept saying that about Maple, like we're gonna lighten it up. And I'm like,
fuck yeah, no, I can.
Because I mean everything was working good. You know, I've been charging the store for 2 years. I mean we were selling Scarface and Snoop posters, and that was a problem. We were.
Oh well.
I'm like,
do you know that like there was one time I walked into Coventry and all of my posters like that were like ripped up and on the ground. And I'm like, let me call Rich and see why he came in here and ripped up my shit. And so he ripped up, you know, the Tupac one where he's got like a gun sticking out of his pants. He's giving you the finger and Scarface shooting. And like, you know, I had all those kinds of posters. They would sell and they would sell out. And I called him, I'm like, why did you do that? And he was like, you wonder why everybody acts like a fucking criminal inside of your store? Why don't you put up a couple of pictures of Bugs fucking Bunny and see how people's attitudes change? And I was like,
yeah.
Okay. And so I stopped selling those posters, and real talk, like it definitely, people chilled out because they weren't surrounded by images of violence. Like he was right. But I cultivated that. Like that was, to me, was normal, you know? It's like I said, like it just, my goal was to make as much money as I could, however I could, you know? So I wanted to, but you know, stolen shit, I don't care. You know, if it was like somebody trading in box, you know, handfuls of box sets with that little cutout on the back where they cut, you know, they went to Tower Records and cut the sensor off the back, I'd be like, do you happen to have this box set also? Because I'll give you this amount of money if you do happen to have that. And they'd be like, write it down. I'm like, no, motherfucker, you write it down. Like, I'm not writing down anything. You remember that I'm looking for this, and every time you bring it to me, I'll give you this amount of money. Once I kind of took a different stance on that, then things did kind of start to calm down a bit. You know, that they were hemorrhaging money, and then me and Paco created an Amazon account. And then that shifted the entire business to, you know, mainly being online sales. And Rich fired me. It was one of the times I got fired, one of the 11 times I got fired me and said, all you do is cock around on the internet all day long. What the fuck you're doing all day? You're fired. And I'm like, I'm not fired. Like, I'm not leaving. I don't care. It was at the point where he'd be like, you're fired, and I wouldn't even leave anymore. But in the first year, we made 7 figures. The first year on Amazon, I mean, that wasn't in profit, but that was in gross revenue. So it definitely shifted the way that those stores worked and the way that we decided to open new stores in the future. Just, you know, some of those newer stores were just fronts to buy and sell stuff on Amazon.
Yeah.
What about your Maple till you die? Like, Maple is your store, right?
Yeah, I mean, I spent some time at Van Aken. I mean, it was a much shorter drive or walk or whatever I had going on at the time. And I got to work at Coventry a few times with you. One time I worked there and Jacob was there, but that was where I always wanted to be. I always wanted to work on Coventry. That's why when I was at Next, nobody wanted that store. And I was like, well, it can't be that bad. So it was cool, but it still wouldn't have been like working at the Record Exchange on Coventry. So that was the first one, you know. Maple is home. I mean, but I always wanted to work at other places. I always wanted to work.
Let me ask you this, because this is triggering a memory for me. I don't have, like, you know, there were no phones, so I don't have pictures of any of the stores. And the only stores that I have a picture at all is I have like one picture of the inside of Maple and one picture of the inside of Lyndhurst. Do you have photos from that period of time? Like, is that something that you thought of back then? Because I did not. Like, it never occurred to me to take pictures until I got an iPhone.
Yeah, I have some pictures that I stole from my MySpace before I closed it down. But it's just one picture of Maple, like the inside, and I think I have a picture of the outside, but the way it was. But I think I only have those 2 because I never used to take pictures either, you know.
No, and it's funny because I had so many employees at Coventry, especially that were photographers and, like, you know, took photography or were like art students and stuff. And I know they took thousands of pictures, you know, and it's just, I don't have any, and people always ask me for them. I always wish that I did.
I'll always say, you know, Next and CD Game Exchange were exactly the same. The experience was exactly the same. There were 2 companies that were ran very similar, and Next did what CD Game Exchange did with abandoning the black dollar for the white and Asian dollar. That's why they have exhibition. But it's completely different. It's marketed differently. It's different product in it. So if I would have never worked at the Record Exchange, CD Game Exchange, I'd have never lasted at Next as long as I did, because it was exactly the same, you know. Robert Rosenthal wasn't quite Richard Shahinian, but
yeah, I don't think anybody was.
Yeah.
I do have actually pictures of me and Rich together the last time that I saw him, which was, you know, in 2013 or something. Man, I felt so bad. I was like, yell at me one more time just for old time's sake. And he's like, you know, I'm a hollow shell of a man. I don't even have the strength to yell at people anymore. I'm sorry, I can't do that for you. He once told me that he yelled at me more times than anyone outside of his family, which I kind of pride myself on.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're a legend there, man. I mean,
yeah, it's funny. Like, I think because of when the split happened, you know, when they split in half and they were the CD Game Exchange and John took the Record Exchange half, I worked in Van Aken, and Rich's office was in the back at that time. And so, like, Rich and I would spend so much time together. Like, even when the store would close, he'd be like, Dave, do you want to, you know, go to Ruth Chris Steakhouse and, you know, eat steaks and drink whiskey? And, you know, Rich would smoke pot inside of the restaurant, and, you know, like, we're sitting there, like, he didn't even give a shit. So we spent so much time together that I think that it kind of, I don't know if that's why, is because we became pretty close in that period of time.
It bonded y'all. See,
yeah,
I never really, you know, because I always had to deal with Mark Staples. I never really had much interaction with Rich. I'd have some, but not.
Yeah.
You know, it was always Mark in my way. And there was a guy at Next like that. His name was Rick. He was always in my way between me and Rob, where I would have ideas and he would steal them like they were his. You know what I mean? Mark did that too. Like,
fucking Mark. He was the worst.
He fired me for nothing. For nothing. I mean, I'm like, well, this must be John Shahinian saying, I don't want Chris Weathers to, you know, maybe he did.
It happens. I mean, it happens. You know, the most no reason fire, I've had a bunch of them. I mean, I've just been like, I'm sick of this person. I want to fire them, and just decided to fire people out of the blue myself. But I one time, it was maybe 7 o'clock in the morning, like had banging on my apartment door, and went to the door, and it was Rich banging on my door like 7 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, what do you want? And he's like, you have a piece of shit, no good asshole motherfucker that works at your store named Dan something. And I was like, yeah, he's cool. Like, we actually just played Street Fighter last night. And he's cool. And he's like, no, he's not. His dad used to work there in the 80s, and he was a piece of shit. So by default, his son's a piece of shit. So he's fired. Go in there and fire him. And then I'm like, why? And he's like, because I told you his dad was a piece of shit. And so I went in there and was like, thank you. I went in there and was like, I don't know, like, this is what Rich said, I'm sorry, and he said that you're fired. And he was like, do you know why my dad got fired in the 80s? Because my little sister ran away, and he went and looked for her and couldn't come to work. Like, and so Rich fired him. So I'm getting fired because my little sister ran away in 1988.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was for no reason, for sure. Hey, let me ask you this. Do you remember this statue from Maple?
Wow. Wow.
There was this in Maple, and there was the Beatles statues in there.
Yeah.
And one day somebody stole the Beatles ones, and I'm like, who stole the Beatles statues? And nobody would admit it, and I was like, then fuck it, I'm stealing the Satch one. So I've had it's been kind of on my mantle for the last 20 years.
Nice. Yeah, man. I mean, it was a big thing for me when the Record Exchange opened at Van Aiken. You know, it was like right up the street from my house. I was because, you know, I used to catch the bus to Maple. My dad had some sort of weird animus against Cleveland Heights, so I never really got to go to Coventry for I was a teenager.
Yeah,
but
I can see that.
It is just it was one of my favorite places. It was always a dream to work there. So when I finally got there, it was a big deal. But I was not good when I started. Just some of the shit I used to do. I think back now, like, what the fuck was I thinking? You know?
Yeah, who was? You know, like when I started, I was an idiot. I probably still am.
Nah.
Shit.
Nah.
When I first started, I remember the first thing that I said to not the store manager, but one of the managers who I've been friends with, you know, ever since my whole life. I don't know if you ever worked there. His name was Paco. I mentioned him before.
Yeah.
He said that the first thing that I said to him, we were in the basement. He was like, "Hey, do you know where I can buy some shrooms, man?" Like that was my first conversation with a manager. We always have differing memories, though. I don't think that I really said that.
Yeah, Paco used to come up Maple sometimes whenever some shit was going on with our internet. He would always come fix it, you know.
Yeah. He came here to open. He moved here to open a store. He still lives here. He lives in the city.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's funny because I didn't know this until I moved here. If you live in San Francisco, in the city, you'll never leave. Because they're like, why would I leave? You come here. Like, it's the city of San Francisco. Why the fuck would I come to San Rafael? Like, in the mountains? Like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
So I never see him. Like, never.
Gotcha.
Even though it would take maybe 20 minutes to get to his house. But
yeah, it's interesting working for the way my sneaker life and my work life at the time at Record Exchange kind of interlocked, because I met a lot of people there that ended up being connects and vice versa.
I'm sure.
And
do you ever still keep in touch with people from Maple?
You know, not really. Honestly, every now and then I'll hear from Jacob, because, you know, he has his thrifting business, and he might have a question.
He just does that full time, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But really just him and you. You know, you're probably the person
Yeah.
who with the most. I mean, Will and I were close for a long time, but he just randomly moved, and we don't really ever talk anymore. And
Yeah, that's who I was going to ask about.
yeah, we since I've lived in North Carolina since August, I think we've had 2 conversations. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's not like how it was. I mean, I'm sure he's good. I think he lives in Pittsburgh. He does something with sleep for beds.
Hmm.
You're the main person that I speak with from that time.
Hey, we have common interests.
Yeah, yeah. But
Plus, I don't have anybody else to talk to. So if you listen to me, I'll talk your ear off.
nah, man, you've taught me so much. As far as I think, if I had a sneaker question, I think either I asked it or I might have answered it, or you might have answered it before I even asked. I think the last one I might have is, what do your family and friends feel about you being into sneakers?
My family they know me, like I've always had sneakers. It's just not to like the point that I do now. Like hoarding sneakers like wasn't a thing, until like I moved to California. But I would always have like a good 5 pairs or more of sneakers. So it's normal, I think, to them. My wife tolerates it. I mean, she's okay with it as long as I'm not like spending an exorbitant amount of money or I'm being reasonable with it or taking up too much space. One time when I started running out of space, I got like the drop front boxes to kind of help keep myself organized. And I had run out of space in my closet and I moved them out into the bedroom and she was like, that's not happening. So like as long as I can kind of keep control of myself, she's very, very understanding of my desire to collect things. But I think that outside of family, people that I work with, it's kind of just what I'm kind of known for, like I'm known for that. And I'm known that like I just always have sneakers and I always am wearing different sneakers or know things about sneakers. And I haven't worked inside of my store since, over a year. And I still get texts from store employees that are like, which sneaker, I saw this sneaker, which sneaker is it? Like, how much would this cost in resale? Or is this worth it? Or blah, blah, blah. I'm like a information guy. So people, that's one of the things that I know a lot of stuff about. So I do get a lot of questions about it, and I'm kind of known for that.
Yeah.
I know like everything about really specific subjects, like vintage video games. Like I know everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I could attest to that. I actually, I was thinking of I don't think I'm gonna do it now, but I really thought about for a while there doing a buy sell trade, but with sneakers. It's a lot that with that, but I was gonna use I still remember the CD game exchange or the record exchange, the risk system, the XYZAB. I still that. I'm not sure why, but I was gonna take that
because it's ingrained.
Yeah, and just like, I'm gonna go off 60. That's 40 in trade or 20 in cash. I think I sort of
but that's pretty good.
Yeah, I thought about using that at some point, but here because the way this is here, where this area I live in, Mebane, it looks like Aurora.
That's how you say it, Mebane?
Yeah, I thought it was Mebane, but it's
yeah, I thought it was Mebane.
Yeah, but it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's right in the middle of, you have Raleigh and Durham to the east, and you have Greensboro and Winston-Salem to the west. And Charlotte is about 2 hours away, sort of like Cleveland to Columbus. So
we're
kind of in the middle of everything, but we're in the middle of nowhere at the same time. But there are a lot of sneaker boutiques where in Cleveland it's really only 1 or 2,
Yeah, there's none.
So I thought about that here, but this, at least where I'm at, it's not really a sneaker place. Everybody just wears Chucks or Vans.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of people that wear them here, but it's more in the city than like outside the city. In the Bay Area, like like it never ends. In Cleveland, like if you drive 20 minutes in any direction, like you're in a cornfield. But here, like, you go, if I cross the bridge, then I'm in San Francisco, and then I'm in Oakland, and then I'm in San Jose, and then and it just doesn't end. It's like city, 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 city. So there's like hot spots, where I live right now, it's not quite as popular, but in the city, yeah, like you'll just be walking down the street and seeing all kinds of shit. Depends on the area.
Gotcha.
If you're by like the colleges and stuff, everybody is wearing 350 V2s. Everybody. It's really weird. But what if you're going to make a business like that? I think that one of the cool things that the sneaker industry does for people, one of the cool things that have come out of it is charging people for knowledge. So you know that big controversy with that kid that his mom worked for Nike, and you know what he was doing. He was making all this money off of having a group where he would share information like how to resell and stuff like that. And when I stopped working at the record exchange and I wanted to build my own business, but I'm a terrible businessman. What I wanted to do was teach people how to make their own money selling stuff, right? And so you know the deal. Like every single thing that you bought from every person at the record exchange or GameStop ever, they were expecting more. If you watch like Pawn Stars, you know, it's like, I've got this sword and I know for a fact that this sword was once owned by King Arthur and he pulled it out of a stone and it's a special sword. And then the guy's like, I'm going to get an expert in here. And the expert comes in and he's like, this is real and it's worth $500. And then he leaves. What's the customer say 100% of the time? I want $500, right? And the guy's like, dude, I got to make money, so I can offer you $200, right? You're saying the risk factor. I forgot that that's what it was called. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to have a business that was like the record exchange, but tiered. The first tier would be you buy a membership and you can use my facility to learn how to list on eBay and Amazon. I will have a place where you can stage your item and take a picture, and I have a place like a locker that you can get that you can store your stuff in. So that would be a flat rate, and then I'll show you how to do that and how to get the most out of your product. Like, don't look at, for example, like, you know, if you want to know how much something is worth, don't look at what people are asking for. Look for what it's sold for, because anybody can ask anything for anything. I can be like, you know, I have this SIM ejector tool to get your SIM card out of your phone, and I want $10,000 for it. It doesn't mean it's worth that. So the top tier would be, you want to make that money from King Arthur's sword, $500, you want that, then you have to sell it yourself so that you make all the profit. And then people will realize that it sucks selling your own shit. It sucks because you're going to put in there, it's in mint condition and here's pictures and it costs $6 to ship it. And the first question you're going to get is, how much does it cost to ship? And the second question you're going to get is, what condition is it in? Like, it's a hassle.
Yeah.
So then the next tier down would be consignment, where like, look, you bring me the thing and I will split the profit with you and I will list it and I will sell it. And like, if you had that sword and you're trying to get $500 for it, if it sells for $500, then you get $400 and I get $100, right? Consignment. And then you'll realize that sucks too, because sometimes people don't buy it, right?
Yeah.
And so then the third tier, the record exchange. I'll buy that from you right now, that King Arthur sword, and I'll give you $50. Like, you want to not deal with a fucking hassle? Then I will give you $50, and then I'll sit on it for all this time until somebody pays the value for it, which is basically what they do at a pawn shop, right? So that was like what I wanted to do, and I still think that that is a good business model, and especially for stuff like things that go in trends, stuff like sneakers, or like what's popular right now, trading cards, or like, I don't know, like whatever kind of Supreme box logo sweatshirts kids are buying, who knows? But there's all kinds of stuff like that that you got to strike while the iron's hot and then sell it. So that kind of business model I still think is a good idea, and it's still a good money-making business model. So just giving people knowledge on how to make that money themselves, I think, is something really awesome that people are kind of really looking more into, because that's why you can't buy sneakers anymore. That's why it's impossible to buy packs of Pokemon cards anymore, because people realize that they can abuse us. They can abuse us because we're like, shit, well, I really wanted that pair of 98 Gundams, but the only choice I have is to pay $350 to this dickhead whose mom works at Nike. And that's, everybody wants to make that money. So if they want the shoe or not, then they buy them all up, corner the market, and they know assholes like me will pay that extra money.
Yeah, like another shoe that was everywhere that is like that is the Converse Weapon. Now
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, nobody cared about
you
that.
could get them two for $89. I bought
Yeah,
a pair for me and my dad and spent $89. Like you get a pair now, especially if it's the Magic or Bird, you're paying at least 500 in good shape at our
yeah.
size. Like you can get an 8 for cheap or 9. It's the opposite, but yeah, that
People are looking for alternatives now.
mhm.
It's like why I bought those, forums. Like I was like irritated because you can't get anything, and I'm like, these forums, man, they match again. They match this tracksuit that I got. That's like blue and green plaid full tracksuit, and I need the right sneakers to match that. And that's the other thing that I would kind of frequently known for is a full tracksuit, full sweatsuit.
Nice. I don't think I've ever seen you in a tracksuit all these years.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I only started wearing them more like towards the end of my time in Ohio, like maybe like 2009 to like 2012, 2008, 2012.
Yeah.
Love them.
The last time,
It's like wearing pajamas all day.
hey, you got to be comfy, especially working at home.
Yeah.
Even before. Okay. Well, I really appreciate you, joining me, this evening.
Sure, anytime. It was fun.
Definitely one of my favorite managers to work for and with. I appreciate
Yeah, thanks for saying that.
No problem. And again, thank you for sending me, the tuned airs. Thanks for sending me the link for the structures. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Like if there's, I am sitting on a computer all day. Like if there's something, like if you're like, I missed something or I'm looking for a restock or something, just let me know. It's a gift and a curse because that's what people, I would tell people when they'd ask me that at the store, because if you don't get it, I'll keep sending the link. I mean, like, here it restocked, here it restocked, here it restocked. So if there's something that you want and I can keep an eye out for, just ask. I don't care. I'm sitting on your computer all day.
Gotcha. Well, before we close off, I'm not even sure. I may have asked you this already, but later this year, is there anything that has your attention? I'm Lightning Force. I gotta have.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, what are you looking forward to? That's like, so it can spark my memory of what's coming out. I mean, I know that I really want the Chicago KOs, and I really want neutral gray lows to match the neutral gray highs and the neutral gray Forum 84s lows that I have. But that's pretty much it. So what'd you say, Lightning Fours?
Lightning Fours. I really want those Oregon 6s. Well, they're just black and lime green, but they're like
Yeah.
my cool gray 11s are from 2001. So if they really come back out with those,
Yeah. Are they going to have a mesh upper, or are they going to have like a smooth upper? They just looked different to me. Like when people keep being like, dude, they're coming back out.
I think I really think it's just, I think that mesh pair was just for Jason Tatum. They're going to be swayed. But I will say this. I do feel like if they're not original, if they're not Concords, Black and Reds, Columbias, or the Space Jam is like an OG, but not any of these new colors, I don't feel like they should have the high cut patent leather. I think they should be like the banana shape that they've been. I don't.
Yeah. It's like putting Nike Air on the back of like, threes, fours, stuff that are just like, I don't know, Justin Timberlake's and shit like that. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
They just, sometimes it's cool. Like I have like off-white fives, and I have those like Union fours that I really like those.
Oh.
Everybody hated them at first. But the Nike Air on the back of those is cool, but like they just sometimes they just slap that OG stuff on some kind of weird new colorway. I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah. On the regular Nike side, that's not Jordan. They're supposed to bring out the second version of the Air Max 96, the white, navy, and yellow, and there's like a women's color. But that's really it. I'm really more interested now in other Nike retros that aren't Jordans or Foamposites, and just
yeah. There's so few now to me that I'm like, if they would re-release that I would want to get, and that they don't. It's like I said, I have so many pairs of Jordan 1s, but like I just haven't wanted any of the ones that they've released in a long time.
Yeah.
They just seem to be, they're like, we'll give you one OG colorway of one Jordan a year, it feels like, maybe two.
Yeah, and I mean, technically, they haven't brought back an OG one since the Shadows, and that was 3 years ago.
Yeah, right?
So
Damn, I didn't even think about that. Well, I guess except these neutral gray 5 high.
that was the first one since. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I missed those. I need a pair of Shadows. I've never had the Shadows before.
And back then, they were sitting on shelves.
Yeah, because I know in
You know,
2013 I didn't sell them well, but I don't know. I don't know why I didn't buy them.
in 2013,
Yeah.
those were nice too, weren't they? They didn't have, that was the one where like the Wings logo wasn't filled in, right? It was just like the collar was gray and the Wings logo wasn't black.
Yeah.
Or was that an earlier retro?
That might be the 2009.
Because somebody I worked with had a pair of those, and every time he wore them, I was like, man, they look so nice.
Yeah, I think that was the 09. But I don't think it had the Nike Air on it. I think just the Jumpman. But I can't remember.
And speaking of that period of time of OG colorways, we were talking about like what's a grail. I always like drool over those like band ones that have the X on the back. I always look at those and I'm like, man, if I could have one pair of sneakers that like are a stupid price like that, I love that pair, man. They're so cool. Like the story is so cool, and that they only released at outlets just makes it really intriguing.
To me, that's where the Jordan thing started. The Jordan 1 thing.
Yeah.
And then it kind of grew from there. But before that, to me, Jordan 1s were like how people look at Jordan 2s. And I love 2s. And I know you rock with them well, but the Jordan 1 was in that same thing. It would be from like 3 to 13. That was what people rock with.
Yeah. And I wish they would retro a 2 one of these days. Come on. But nobody bought those lows when they came out recently, Nobody bought them. Yeah. I wish they would make them look like the original one. So that's like the piping is wrong and like it just.
They've never done that. 95.
No, never.
So, I don't know why or what's going on with that, but I feel like they have the ability to do it. I mean, if they could bring back an airship, they could do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that really irritated me that wasn't attainable.
Yeah.
Because I really like that.
I thought about making some Air Force One highs that sort of look like it, but it's like, it's not the same.
Not the same. Not the same. So for you, Lightning, you said what 96? Oh, I forgot that they're going to remake those.
Yeah, the Air Max 96, the Lightning 4, those black and lime green 6s. I'm going to try to get them.
Yeah. I know somebody that has that. Didn't they come out in didn't they make a pack, like a 2-pack where they were black and lime green 6s?
That was Chris Paul.
That had...
Yeah, the Brazil.
Yeah, and they had Chris Paul's with them, right? I know somebody that has a pair of those I used to work with. They were cool.
Yeah, so, that's really it. It's not many. Again, I'd rather have more Nike runners and really cross trainers because they don't really, do cross trainers anymore, so.
Yeah, it's weird how those release too, because like I remember I got like a regret of mine is one time when I came to see you at Next, I didn't buy, you had like on sale those medicine ball trainers, and I really wanted those, and I didn't buy them. I feel stupid about that. But when I bought the Auburn SC trainers, like they only had them at like Jimmy Jazz, and like they didn't sell them at Nike. And same thing with like the Diamond Turfs. Like when I bought those last couple of pairs, the 2s and the 3s, like they just don't sell them. They weren't selling them at Nike, and it's weird that the Griffies like sold out immediately this time. Like, I think that's going to be one of those things that like will become popular again. Those kind of 90s trainers.
Yeah, 90s trainers and 90s basketball. And sneakers didn't used to sell stuff like that. It was just limited stuff. But I really feel that trainers specifically, they go into what I call the sneaker vortex, where they'll come out, they'll be popular. Some of them may be, but most of them won't be. They'll either go on sale, they may sell out, then they'll just disappear like they never came out. They'll just be because it's like with Jordans, you can even get Jordans. Michael Jordan played it if you have the money. With Jordans, it's always if you have the money. But with these trainers, some of these runners, some of these Nike basketball shoes, like the Fab 5 Barclays is another one that my pair from '01 crumbled. You can't find them for less than $300.
No.
You know,
And those Barclays that they re-released recently, same thing. They didn't really release on Nike, but when they would release on like the Nike app, but not like on sneakers, and they sold out. And I got that pair, like, the like purple pair that, forget which ones they are, and they have like a strap on the side and like little like metallic circles in the strap.
yeah.
And then I also have the, I should break these out for a picture. The ones that are, they say CB34 on like a big fucking huge round patch on the tongue.
Yeah.
I got those at Ross for nothing. And like now those are ones that like, dude, they just sell out immediately and people scavenge for them. Such a trip.
It's sort of like, I hate to say it, but it's just the truth. I feel like Nike puts a lot of 90s basketball shoes and the cross trainers. They're like specifically for the hoods. They're only at the urban accounts like Villa or DTLR. Jimmy Jazz, Hibbett Sports, where
it's true.
Yeah, they put them specifically for the hood, and it's good.
And specific colorways of stuff too. Like I'll be like, where did that come from? Like I haven't seen that in any of the stores in my neighborhood. But it's totally true. That has to be their strategy for a lot of that stuff, or had been.
Yeah, because when I was with Villa with DTLR, like we would have certain colorways where I'm like, if I didn't know that this was a real Nike account, I wouldn't feel like it's real. Especially some of those Griffies we had. Like we had these black, orange, and red Griffey ones. Like they were horrible.
Yeah.
Whole hood bought
them. Yeah, they love them. It's probably match the Easter outfit.
Yep. Or some sort of denim get up we had at the time. Like,
fuck yes, man, I love those outfits. They come in colors that you think you're like, what is that picture I always see people post of like Drake with like all purple fives? Like, have you ever seen that picture?
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, man, those can't be real.
Yeah.
But they did. They made all kinds of crazy shit like that.
Or like those fives.
Not for everyone.
Those what the fives were strictly for the hood. I hate to say it, but this is true. You have a yellow shoe and a red shoe, like.
Yeah, because I'm like, them ketchup and mustard ass, I'm not wearing that shit.
Because that was one of the few times where I saw a Jordan and I was like, yeah, I'm too old for that.
Yep.
Too old.
I do think that a lot. There's a lot of stuff, I say that I like it, but I wouldn't wear it. I see them all the time.
Yeah. Some of the stuff is just too far. But yeah, man, I really appreciate you. I'll definitely be in touch. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
For being a part of the show.
Yeah, anytime. If you want me to come back, just let me know.
Oh, absolutely. Most definitely.
Hey, I'm going to go eat my dinner.
All right, me too. All right.
All right. Thanks, man.
No problem, man. Take care.
All right. Bye.